Well, we've been traveling for quite some time now, dear passenger. I think it's time you earned a little break. A little frolicking time in the sun and the sand. Or perhaps a ride on the Santa Cruz Pier. After all, there couldn't be anything paranormal in a theme park. Or am I speaking too soon? Though known as a beach party town in the modern era, the history of Santa Cruz is not without its many skeletons hidden within its proverbial closet. But I think I've prattled on for long enough. Allow me to pass the torch to the experts of the paranormal goings-on in Santa Cruz.
My name is Mary Ann Porter. I am the founder of Santa Cruz Ghost Hunters. I am also the proprietor of Santa Cruz Haunted Tours and author of Haunted Santa Cruz.
I'm Marianne Mai, and I do a lot of research whenever Marianne says, hey, can you find out this about whatever? And it's like, I'm your girl.
There's a lot of strong paranormal activity. We're talking a town that was started in about 1750s when the Spanish missionaries came. There was nothing but Ohlone or Native Americans at this time. The Spanish missionaries basically converted the Native Americans. Come to find out that Santa Cruz was the worst mission throughout California, as they were basically put the Native Americans into slavery. Unfortunately, within 10 years' time, the Native Americans in this area literally died out. Santa Cruz in Spanish translates to Holy Cross. So this is a city that was based on Catholic beliefs or beliefs in God that turned into nothing but abuse and a dictatorship.
An American plot of land suffering from historical turmoil and a systemic oppression of the native people. This unfortunately familiar groundwork sets the stage for an environment prone to the paranormal, as though the ground itself rejects its own violent history and the blood stained upon it by introducing an element into the environment beyond the comprehension of mere human beings. So tell me, Santa Cruz Ghost Hunters, what haunted location are we in store for today?
The Tuttle Mansion, it kind of stems from its family history. The Tuttles were a very prominent family. They came from England and they were very highly intelligent. However, in the 1600s, you had more of a negative side to the Tuttles. Sarah Tuttle, I think she was about 16 at the time, was interested in a boy, and he had kissed her. Well, that didn't fly over too well because she disrespected the family. Well, it turned out her brother Benjamin did not like how she disrespected the family, and he ended up bludgeoning her to death in the head with an axe. Multiple children who passed away from strange circumstances. We're not even entirely sure how all of them passed away. You have one that was listed as a suicide for Iowa Tuttle, which was here on the grounds, and apparently he shot himself twice in the head. We've had children like Irma Tuttle, who passed away at the age of 8. She was riding on a combine. Her cousin was driving it, and he was a child too, and she fell off the front and was rototilled basically. Crushed her skull, poor little thing. She was one of the residents here. You have a child by the name, I believe it was Johnny, who's 3 years old. For whatever reason, he's passed on. Another one, Kilpatrick, was about 13. He's passed on, and there's many more. And we're not even certain about why these children passed, but it is interesting.
We have a theory that the carriage house may be a vortex because limestone, water, traumatic history, traumatic events, those are like triggers, and this almost has a trifecta without being near a body of water. Is the limestone at the bottom of the house, on the foundation of the house, came from Arizona.
When you have a portal, this is a means for spirits to be able to travel in and out of. Now, whether they're coming from one plane or another.
This talk of portals provides us with the perfect opportunity for a lesson in the paranormal. Tell me, Santa Cruz Ghost Hunters, in what unique ways can the spirits communicate with the living?
They can communicate through smells, either through fragrances, perfumes, colognes, tobacco smell, cigarette, pipe, cigar. They'll get your attention other ways by, poking you or pinching you. When we were downstairs at the top of the servants' stairs, they were investigating that other hallway, and I felt something stabbing me in the bottom of my foot. And I was like, I was wearing my flip-flops, and I kicked off my flop, and I'm feeling it, and it's like, no stickers or thorns or anything like that. And I put it back on, and they started talking, and I felt that stabbing right in the arch of my foot. I took it off, looked again, nothing. And it's like, okay, we kind of took a break after that, and me and Sanji, I was out in the parking lot waiting for Sanji to come out, and from my peripheral, I could see Shadow running, and he was in a sprint run, and he ran from the back of the house to the side storage at Dusty Treasures. And it was like I looked, I walked over there, and I looked, and nobody was there.
We've had a team member who's literally seen an apparition in the carriage house of what appeared to be a little girl. We've had REM pods go off systematically with other equipment, K2 meters, all at the same time.
Oh, they're both going off. You see that?
People have heard voices. We've gotten EVPs, which was an unusual one because we were in the carriage house and we heard Jen, the owner, her phone ringing in the carriage house, but it was in a different room. One of her associates' phone was ringing too. We were in the whole different room, and at the end, we were asking questions about the murder-suicide and the children, who they were. Well, after the investigation, they go to check their messages thinking, it was an outside call. Well, it turned out to be one phone calling another and 3 different voices on it saying, that was my children, that was my daddy. It was like, whoa.
Though the Tuttle Mansion in Santa Cruz is certainly a unique location, it is not the only paranormal spot where the supernatural runs rampant in this boisterous beachfront. For some say that if you go out at night by Ocean Street Extension, you may encounter a spirit with an axe to grind. The White Lady of Santa Cruz.
So Santa Cruz has a couple white lady stories. We have one over on Ocean Street Extension over by Paradise Park. Lore says that she was a mail order bride who was married to a drunkard. The man used to beat her, abuse her, and she wanted to flee him, and he would make her traipse around in her wedding dress, and he ended up finding out that she was going to leave him. And he ended up beating her to death and burning the house down with her in it. So the legend claims that, people have seen her throwing axes, they've been seeing her walk up and down the road. A bunch of foobar. Those legends are pretty much based on like 1960s for teens that were trying to get away from their parents, and they were hanging out and partying and whatnot. However, there were actually some legitimate claims when I went to go research this. And I went to Paradise Park in Santa Cruz, which is a Masonic living area, and it was also the old powderworks mill. And it was actually the historian who approached the subject about the White Lady. He had told me about a gentleman by the name of Thomas Roundtree, who used to be an employee at the powderworks mill. And he and his family would often come and enjoy the San Lorenzo River on days off. They'd picnic. People would actually live on the grounds there. One day, they were picnicking with another family, and I believe she was 15-year-old daughter, Myrtle Roundtree, and some other children. They were playing, and one 13-year-old boy had found some cotton. Well, they didn't think nothing of it, and it turned out it was highly flammable, part of the powderworks mill processes. He stuck it into the fire, and an explosion went off. About 3 or 4 people had gotten seriously burned, including Myrtle. By the time she's 19 years old, I believe she was rather scarred. Her high school sweetheart wanted to marry her, but 3 months later, she had taken ill and she had passed away. A lot of people related to the Roundtree family are actually buried off at the Ocean Street Extension Cemetery, which is the road behind Paradise Park. So we kind of believe that perhaps this White Lady story does have some merit, that it's not, somebody throwing axes or crazy whimsical thing, but maybe this like La Lorena type of activity is this young girl whose life was cut so short and is seen going down to the cemetery where she has no name there. There's no headstone for her there, even so there's family members there. It was reported that she was interned in the Felton Cemetery. However, I can't find her. So maybe that's her. Well, that's one white lady. We have another white lady here in Watsonville on 152 off of Hector Pass. Now, this one, it's reported, and it's been reported for a long time, of people seeing a young girl, a young woman in white, starting from the campground area, going down by Mount Madonna Inn and going on Hector Pass, and then suddenly she vanishes. That white lady's story has some merit to it as far as tragedy. In Mount Madonna Park in the late 1800s, I would say, a young girl by the name of Sarah Miller had passed away. She was riding her horse. The horse stumbled, fell, crushed her. She died instantly. Her family had owned what is now known as Mount Madonna Park. So people have reported seeing this female in a white gown wandering down the highway. There's also a lot of body dumpings on Mount Madonna, and this has been going on over 100 years. One in particular was in 1969, and this to me I think is the white lady that people are seeing, a young 18-year-old girl. She was found near the entrance of Mount Madonna Park with her throat cut. It turned out that she was pregnant at the time and her boyfriend had killed her. So to me that really makes me wonder, okay, is this the young woman trying to get off the mountain who just can't? I think the mystery and, these are things that are kind of taboo. People don't really want to talk about murder and death and things that are frightening.
Well said, Marianne. The appeal of urban legends are an allure of the darkness and an attraction to the unknown, for they provide the unsuspecting public with a word of warning about the nature of the world around them. Thoughts to ponder on the road.